Please remember to write your AI member number in order to get your credit and your certificate.
Please put it in the chat below, in the chat window, and you can address it to everyone or to Marilyn if you prefer, whichever way. Ready to go, Irina?
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Unfortunately, I cannot see you. It's not the requirement in this training, but I hope you guys gonna get a lot of value during this hour of presentation. So just a little bit of the housekeeping issues. So this presentation is 1 credit continuing education class, and we traditionally give it once a year. So if any other questions will appear after this presentation, please do not hesitate to contact me at the end of the presentation, and I'll be, you will see the contact information at the end. So if you have any questions, please reach out directly. My presentation is about 40-minute long. We can certainly stop if you have specific questions, but please take a note of questions as we go, and I'll be happy to answer them at the end of the presentation. So with that, I'm ready to start if you guys are. Okay, so the topic of today's presentation, I think that the key word here is not just the green living walls, as you see illustrated on the background of myself and my business partner. So I'll introduce myself as well in a second, but I think the key word here for this presentation is sustainability. So I really believe that with all these new trends and with all the effect of pandemic, a lot of people are turning into the finding the best way, the most harmonious and the most balanced way to live. They're trying to see how many, what can be enhanced, how to create the best experience for their environment where now they live and work. If before we were kind of thinking, okay, we have a place to live and we have place to work, now all those two, I mean, both concepts are merged into one. So a lot of people now are flexible to work from any place they want, and therefore such things as experiencing the environment and being in the location where everything speaks to you, including the nature, definitely becomes a bigger trend than before. So let me introduce myself. My name is Irina Kim-Sen. I'm one of the owners of the Miami Vertical Garden, and currently I'm a creative director and managing partner of Miami Vertical Garden. So this is something that I appreciate the opportunity to share with you the experience that we have gone through the last 8 years. So vertical gardens, living walls, oops, trying to change the slide. 1 second. Okay, great. So some people call them living walls, some people call them green walls. We call them vertical gardens, and we do them all. So in other words, different concepts, different terminology, you may hear it here and there, but the idea is one. The idea is having greenery, growing vertical, and creating environment when the landscaping is limited, or when you want to bring an ambience not beyond just a typical planters, beyond your typical pots and planters. So I would like to ask, I mean, I know that we don't have a huge class today, so we have 17 participants, and I would like to be very flexible with the format in the way that if you have questions and if you would like to have it more interactive, please feel free to ask questions. But before, I would like to address a question to you. So my first question to you is, do you guys in your daily work, do you see a bigger trend or bigger demand for such things as living walls and vertical gardens? Would you please give me some answers? Do you see it? I mean, obviously, if you are participating in this class, there's probably lack of information about it, and you are trying to get as much as you can to get that confidence. Should you use it in your projects, or You know, it's kind of early on. So could you please give me some responses if you see, I see, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at it. Okay, I'm looking at chat. All right, cool. Oh, okay, perfect. Yes, I see some answers that yes, people are more inquiring more and asking more. I've done one. Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for your feedback. Okay, great. So yes, the purpose of this presentation is definitely to give you a lot of information that will give you confidence to feel very, very informed. What are those, what is the technology behind the living walls? What should you expect? How much it costs? What are the key success factors? All of this is part of the discussion. The second question that I wanted to ask you is, do you guys see challenges or the specific questions that customers address? What are the main concerns, making sure that this trend is really becoming, that becomes real in architectural world? What do you think are the challenges or issues related to understanding the usage of the living walls? Any feedback? Oops, sorry, I was trying to pull the screen. No, I don't have the answers. Okay, moving on. So typically, there are some questions that will come up, and I hope that, oh, I have an answer. 1 second. Maintenance, yes, and that's the right answer, absolutely. And therefore, we will be talking about sustainable living walls, not just the living walls, but what is really the key success factors and how to make the living walls that have minimal maintenance. And you will see that by the end of this presentation, the fact that we just live in Florida makes a huge difference to answer the question about maintenance. All right, great. So today's program is, I would like to go over 6 major ideas. So the first one is the world trends and why we think Miami in particular, it can really become a hub for this trend. Number 2 is what are the living walls, such as different applications and spectrum of usage of the living walls. I certainly would like to share what makes a living wall a success. I would like to definitely discuss different systems that you will see and how they make a difference. And then the final part of the presentation will be devoted to some sample work that we have completed, which I just checked my records before the presentation. So as of today, since 2013, we have completed 113 projects, whether big or small or temporary or permanent, 113 living walls. It's a little slow change. Okay, so what are the world trends? So the living walls as a concept, as the application, as a decorative element in the design has originated in France. I mean, we're not going back to Babylon Gardens, of course, but the actual use of different layers of felt material attached to the wall on which the plants are gonna grow has originated in France, Paris, by Patrick Blanc. So if you heard this name, so he's considered the founder or the father of living walls. So he certainly, his name is put on such projects, 2 projects in Miami by him. One is Juvia Restaurant on Miami Beach on Lincoln Road. And the second project is Perez Museum of Art, the hanging columns. Unfortunately, and I know why, but unfortunately it's not in good shape right now, but that's the original creation of Patrick Blanc. So as you can see on the map, France is number 1. Number 2, Spain. So Spain has a lot of projects now, and we are partnering with one of the companies which is located in Barcelona, Spain. They do a lot of projects, mostly for the cities where the population is very dense and the limited capacity for actually the standard typical landscaping does not allow people to put any landscaping. So the landscaping takes the shape of being vertical. Going to the North America, definitely Canada. One of the reasons that Canada is setting the trend is because of the climate. obviously they're trying to overcome being in winter. 6 to 8 months is not fun. So creating beautiful green environments indoors and even outdoors, like in Vancouver, the climate allows them to put some living walls outdoors, but mostly indoors. And they have a very good technology development in farming, including hydroponics. So that's why Canada. Then we see going down the map, I hope Miami is going to pick up the trend very strongly, but a lot of projects right now are taking place in New York and New Jersey. Another location is Mexico. Projects are primarily done in a very simple yet sustainable way at a low cost because of the labor cost, low labor cost. They are trying to fight the pollution in the cities by applying a lot of vertical greenery, so kind of wrapping the city into green. Big trend in Brazil, okay? And going to one of my favorite locations is Asia. So China sets a big trend. Australia, I mean, going down Australia, but I specifically want to emphasize a couple of things about Singapore and Malaysia. And with that in mind, I would like to share with you a quick, just a portion of the video. When at the end of this presentation, I'll be happy to share this presentation with you so I can mail it to everyone on the list once I get it from American Institute of Architects. And in that presentation, you can certainly see the YouTube video link, so you can play the entire video. But for now, I just want to share a portion of it. So let me show you successfully, hopefully. Let me switch to the video, okay? Okay, the first video that I would like to share with you is going to show a green city in Malaysia that is now like 40% completed. So let's see.
Forest City, the one and only city. Proudly presented by Country Garden Group and EDSB Group, a joint collaboration among Huawei, Sasaki, and Deloitte to shape the most vibrant city with world-class ecological standard in a premier enclave of Iskandar Economic Zone, which is just a bridge away from Singapore. Forest City. The city applies the most advanced 3D multi-layered urban planning concept, able to accommodate hundreds of thousands of people. Lush green surroundings with no vehicles traveling around that truly achieve the separation of pedestrians and vehicles, and space utilization, railway on the ground, and integration of multi-level transportation to connect the entire city. Underground layers consist of smooth vehicular traffic and ample parking spaces, no traffic hazard and automobile pollution issues. The entire city is full of vertical greeneries, sky gardens, and rooftop garden system, forming a natural barrier. Low energy consumption, air purified, conservation rainwater, reduced noise, and others. Building facades covered with vegetation and greeneries everywhere. The city possesses wonderful sea view.
All right, so this is one. And now I would like to share with you another one which has been already built. So this project is an airport extension in Singapore Airport. So this is a brand new building which was completed in April 2019, and definitely will set inspiration for this presentation.
Singapore.
Can you guys see the screen? No? Okay, cool, good. Okay, perfect. All right, let's play this video.
Changi Airport has already snagged the title of World's Best Airport for 7 years running, and its newest expansion is only tightening its grip on the title. In April 2019, Changi opened up Jewel, a lifestyle hub for the airport. The massive donut-shaped building sits between the control tower and Terminal 1. It took more than 4 years and $1.25 billion to build the glass and steel dome that makes up Jewel. Part luxury mall and part indoor rainforest, here's a look inside the complex, making layovers more fun. Built on what was once a parking lot, Jewel now covers 1.46 million square feet. It stands 10 stories tall, with 5 stories below ground and 5 above.
It's huge.
280 shops and restaurants circle the perimeter of the glass dome. There's a multi-screen IMAX theater, a full-size supermarket, and a hotel. In the middle of it all is the rain vortex. A cascading funnel of water drops 7 stories through the core of the building. At over 130 feet high, it's the tallest indoor waterfall in the world. All the water is harvested from rain and recirculated through the waterfall 24/7. At night, it keeps running and acts as a canvas for a 360-degree light show projected on it. Surrounding the rain vortex is a 4-story indoor forest. Singapore is known as a city in a garden, and the airport wanted to capture that theme at Jewel with the Shishido Forest Valley. More than 900 trees and 60,000 shrubs from around the world make up the tiered gardens. And of course, there are walking trails. They're open 24/7 and they run through the gardens past waterfalls. The airport suggests allowing a half hour for each trail, but maybe allow more time based on these crowds.
All right, excellent. So let me switch to the presentation.
Irina, I'm sorry, excuse me for a second. I
Sure.
have a person with a number and I need the person's name. It only appears, one second, hold on.
Sure.
It only says numbers. I'm missing a person's name. And if that person needs a credit, I will not be able to do so. It is connecting, it says 13005133. Anybody's? I'm missing one name. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so I wanted to share these two videos. Again, as I mentioned, you will have a link in the presentation, as you can see below. So if you want to watch more about it, and certainly there is more information available on internet. But the idea is that this is not just futuristic images of something that is going to be somewhere in the future. It's happening. It's happening now. It's already built, as example shows with the Singapore airport. And you would be thinking that this could be a botanical garden at the most, but this is actually the real public high traffic area, which is not just used for the functionality of the airport space. It used as an entertainment, it used as a shopping, it used as a, people do not go there just to, if they are catching the flight. They go there as an attraction. So just to give you more examples of where things are coming, where things are actually going. Sorry, I just want to move my screen a little bit. Okay, this is again examples of Singapore. This is botanical garden. However, as you can see on the right side of the screen, they have what is called the gigantic trees. Of course, this is a man-made structures with passages and the connecting bridge. But the idea behind it is not just to have greenery installed on the structure, on the metal structure, but also to collect rainwater, to reduce energy consumption, and of course, add oxygen to the city. For the interior applications, if you look again in the world, beyond a reception table or a hotel lobby or a feature in the office, or exterior component of the design, all of these are taking shape as we speak. So what is the kind of, to summarize the living wall spectrum, there are pretty much 4 main directions for using the living walls. So the first one is obviously the living walls themselves, so which is typically rectangular or anything vertically covered. The second example of the spectrum of the living wall is living sculpture. So this is becoming another trend, not just to cover things, to camouflage things, but also to bring attention and serve as an entertainment. Tower gardens, of course, we have to talk about sustainability, and I could not miss it, and not to show you that a lot of hydroponic, aeroponic trends are now being brought to the cities to actually grow vegetables and not fruits, of course, grow vegetables and supply from farm to table type of the concept to supply fresh salads and vegetables to the cities. And finally, most commonly used as of today is trellises. I mean, very known way of doing trellises. So it's different attachments to the walls, such as wiring or metal structures, trellis, on which the plants are gonna grow typically from the bottom, from the ground up, but has a lot of disadvantages. It's certainly the biggest advantage is it's cost efficient in terms of the actual structure, but it is not 100% sustainable, because if your plant, which have been maturing for years and years and years and reach the top, for some reason neglected and dies, in order to replenish that hole where the plant has died, it has to take it will take a lot of time to bring that new baby to that height, which is not happening in the living walls, because in the living walls you can partially change or adapt things if they fail. All right, so just to summarize quickly some of the benefits, you already can see from both of the videos that I have shared that one of the critical trends, especially in the city, is reducing urban heat effect. So having more oxygen, having more greenery definitely benefits the city and the environment, property, individual property. Enhancing building authentic function, meaning that it certainly becomes a piece of the brand. It becomes a welcome statement versus having any other design element. Air cleaning and generation of oxygen, increasing building thermal performance, noise insulation, increasing property value, because we know there are many stimulus programs right now from the government to actually promote the green changes that take place in the cities, and enhancing human health and well-being. It's absolutely day and night, and I see it by our clients how much difference living wall makes in the space, in the environment. People cannot even imagine space being without greenery anymore. Where it's all going, this is something that just kind of set the trend for the future and to anticipate, besides the living walls, what may take place. Looking at the big airplane that is shown at the picture, it says Emirates. So this is a true example, literally taken 2 years ago from the park. It's called Miracle Gardens in Dubai. So that is a park entertainment, right? This is an entertainment industry where the entire park is made of flowers. So because the Emirates airlines, they are representing a big portion of the economy, so they are featuring the airplane completely made of flowers, and this is of course technology of the vertical gardening. On the right hand side you see one of the malls in Las Vegas. It's called Aria. So again, integration of the vertical gardens in the interior architecture is one of the common future trends, and of course it's taken place already. And the picture on the bottom shows the sculpture of the dragon. This is Atlanta Botanical Garden. And what they have is they have annual exhibition, which typically lasts from April through October, of the different size, of course, different size sculptures for a specific theme. So each year they have a theme, like fairy tales or Alice in Wonderland, etc., etc. But this is what attracts people attention. They want to see the wow factor. They want to see not just the living walls, they want to see how else plants can use. So this is not floristics, and this is not regular landscaping. It is absolutely new trend which sets the wow factor.
Irina?
Yes?
Sorry for the interruption, but I don't know why, but we can see your presentation. We are still in YouTube. In the YouTube.
You are? Oh my God.
Visual. Yes.
Oh
It is rolling.
Wow. One second, because okay, thank you so much. Let me go back. So you didn't see any of the pictures? Oh, wow.
We are stuck on the YouTube screen. Yes. Okay.
Do you see the presentation now?
Now, yes, we can see it. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, everyone is good? Good. All right, perfect. Okay, thank you very much. So, please let me know, because I cannot see what you guys see. So please let me know if something is not taking place as I speak. So let me just quickly show you the images. Again, this is Singapore. I wanted to demonstrate the usage of interior and exterior applications. We are talking about the spectrum. So from living walls to living sculpture to gardening and to trellis. All the benefits, I'm not gonna repeat them, of course. And this is what was the last picture. So where it's all taken us, it's basically the trends are to make a wow factor using the plants. All right, so now back on track. So I would like to really systematize the knowledge that we have been exposed to, and therefore I would like to share it in a very structured fashion. So there are several applications to do the living wall. So this is a classical one: living wall, living columns, mobile displays, which are self-sufficient and can be moved around. But no matter what we do, we are our mission is to create inspiring vertical landmarks through commitment to high quality product standards, sustainable, green, innovative technology, and dedicated customer service. So three main components for the living wall to succeed. One thing is, you can hire anyone to build a living wall, right? And this is probably, the quote would apply: the buyer be aware. So you have to do your due diligence, what the system offers and how it performs over time. If somebody guarantees that our living wall is, my warranty is lifetime warranty or 15-year warranty, what are we warranting? Are we warranting plastic tray? I can warranty the plastic tray for life. But that's not the point. The point is the plant performance over time. That's what matters. That's what has to be questioned. And that's what the judgment has to be based on. Not the tray itself, but how the plants are going to evolve over time. And that's the main concern when you're choosing the to use the application of the living wall. So what are the key success factors? You were absolutely right when I asked the question, what do you think is the challenge? And number one answer that people come up is maintenance. We've been through many examples when clients would call us and bring us to the project asking for our advice and asking for insider knowledge, what can we recommend, or can we take care of it, or can we take maintenance for the job? And I can tell you our answer is typically no, because the key of the living wall is the system. So we're gonna go through the systems in a few seconds, but I wanna show you just examples of the two living wall systems. So the one on the bigger picture where you have the black, totally black, blackened green wall, so just a little bit left, the problem there is irrigation. So irrigation is not evenly watering the surface. It sprinkles, something drips, but to irrigate something on the vertical surface is it's a different animal. When you have your typical garden and you have a sprinkler system, of course, the water is gonna go somewhere and the plant will find the way as long as the soil is moist. In the vertical environment, the water only goes down by the gravity force. So if you have a drip system, which is typically has a dripper every 10 to 12 inch, so the water will just simply go vertically down. There is no way that the water is gonna spread aside. And that's the key of that's the main question, how to prevent it and what can be done in order to water the living wall evenly. And I will tell you the answer in this presentation. On the left-hand side, I'm showing you example of the failed job as well. As you can see, all the plants are growing in its individual container, and that's one of the issues too. What happens with the time? I'll give you an example of your, I mean, you go through this experiment, you can try. So when you buy something in Home Depot, for example, an herb, okay, and you bring it to your house, you put it in a nice place with good sun, you water it regularly, in 6 months it's gonna die. What is the issue there? The issue is not the fact that the plant didn't have water or didn't have enough sunlight. The issue is that with the time, the plant is not getting food, it needs to eat. It's not getting food from the water, it needs to get nutrients. But in the container, what you have is that original soil, which is typically very, very fluffy. It's not nutrient rich. And therefore the plant simply is dead because there is no way to get the nutrients. So example of the left-hand side, simply a typical plant put into this with its soil, put it into the container. The plant cannot find any way, any nutrients, and cannot even feed from each other. So they're locked like in a prison in its individual container. That's why the plant will die. All right, so the success factors when you are thinking about the living walls is the following. There are 5 of them. So the first one is growing medium. In other words, where exactly the root is gonna go and how it's gonna get the nutrients. Second is irrigation. Again, as I just mentioned, irrigating something on a vertical surface is very different from just the regular landscape irrigation. Lighting, especially for interior applications. Number 3 and number 4, lighting and plant selection are related. So a lot of living walls may fail simply because of wrong understanding of which plants should be used for a specific location. So that is a key knowledge when you design the living wall. And finally, maintenance. So anyone who claim that living walls do not need maintenance because they are automated, I'm sorry. Please, please, please don't take it as true. It's a big red flag to even hear when people say that there's living walls at zero maintenance. I mean, we do hear those things as well. Just compare your garden. Will you see the difference between any regular landscaping being maintained versus being neglected? The same thing with living walls. What is the difference? It's the same. It's real plants. They grow, they outgrow. They have to be trimmed. Nutrients have to be added. The equipment has to be checked. So maintenance is the key to have healthy living wall, like you get a haircut every once in a while. However, the cost of the living wall can be drastically reduced, and the prevention of any failure is under control with the system that I can show you in a second. All right. So as I mentioned to you, we started our company in 2013. So it's our 8th year in the business. And I just want to show you the example of our first installation, which is the oldest living wall we have built. It's located in a private residence in Key Biscayne. It is shaped as a courtyard. It has a little bit of trellis, as you can see on the top, but doesn't still considered to be open air. You can see progression over time in 7.5 years, how this living wall looks. So if you literally, on the last picture where you can see my partner Victor on the bottom in the purple t-shirt, if you actually put your hand into the living wall, it's gonna reach, like it's literally at least 3 feet deep. That's how the plants have grown over time. And you can see that we literally have not replanted even 3% of it. So all the original plants are still there. And the expectations are, if the plants are selected properly, the living wall with our conditions, predictable weather conditions, should last at least 15 years. Just look at the nature of the tropical garden. The ferns, for example, they grow 30, 50 years. And that's what we are targeting, to have sustainable gardens that do not require replanting. All right. Okay, why living walls now? I don't want to repeat this information. You can quickly see it, and once you get a presentation, you have a full explanation if you do need to use it for your clients to explain. But you obviously see all the good words, all the key terms that right now answering the question why living walls are such a big trend. So what makes a difference? This is what I would like to focus your attention, because you will not find this information in the sources as a comparison. And the purpose of this presentation is to equip you with all the knowledge that you need in order to present it to any potential client who are considering but still having doubts whether he needs to put a living wall in the design or property, etc., etc. So the first biggest difference that is made by the non-soil based hydroponic living wall system. So in other words, as I showed you failed projects, right? One of the conclusions that I'm trying to help you to make during this presentation is that what is the difference between hydroponic living walls and soil-based living walls? So the failed projects I obviously showed you soil-based. Now I want to explain how hydroponic living walls system make a difference. Irrigation, lighting, plant selection, and remote monitoring. These are additional components that will make a big difference, and now I will show you all of them. So let me explain different systems right now that are available on the market. So literally everything that is called living walls can be classified into 3 systems. So the first system is pocket-based. So when you have different layers of typically felt material, right now we are developing our own product as well. The main idea is what will hold the plant and what will serve, we call it growing medium, or the substance for the roots to catch the felt. In other words, if you go to a tropical garden, for example, you will see how plants always find their way to grow on the rocks, to where you see a little bit of the water in the waterfall. The plants are always catching and finding its way to get the water and nutrients. So in the pocket-based system, this is the key. You want to maximize the plant's ability to catch to certain substance so that it can grow within the layers of the fabric. Advantages and disadvantages. So obviously the advantage is it's the lightest system to put on the wall, because the only thing you have is the waterproof panel and the layers of the material. And inside of the pockets, I will explain again later when I will show you our system. Inside of the pocket, you have to have a filler where the roots are gonna grow. The disadvantages, of course, material deteriorates with the time, but again, there are so many improvements now on material that we already witnessing 8th year and no change. So this is, and our partners in Barcelona, they've been doing it for another 7 years. So they're experiencing the same living wall for 15 years and no change. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. The second application, or the second type of the system, is the tray-based living walls. Tray-based living walls, many different options of the design of the actual tray. The main two things that I would like to bring your attention to. Number one, they claim, okay, the producers of the tray-based system claim that it's very versatile and it's very flexible in terms of like covering any space, like you can customize to any size, which is true for any system. So that's not really even competitive advantage. But what they're saying is that it's easy to maintain. Of course, it's easy to maintain, meaning easy to pull the plant out of the container and put a new one. But do you think this is a criteria to say how much your maintenance is going to be at the end of the day? Easy to maintain should not be the fact how easy it is to take the plant out. Easy to maintain should be that I do not need to replace plants. I do not need to worry how plants are going to grow over time. I want them to grow, and I do not want to worry what is going to die in 6 months. All right. And the second big disadvantage of the tray-based system is obviously because the plants are sitting in its containers, they cannot integrate with each other. They cannot intertwine with each other. So they're not really creating any ecosystem between each other. They're just sitting as a presentation display in its own container, planter, tray, whatever you call it. And yes, it is easy to replace. Okay. And finally, hydroponic systems. Today I will be showing you two systems. They are both hydroponic, and these are the systems that we use for us. So the first one is panel-based, and this is an example of this system. And before I show you the actual system, I wanted to specify why I'm so passionate about speaking to you today about the fact that we have to look at Florida as a completely different case for thinking about vertical gardens. Just look at the map at the bottom where you have blue line. So all of those things, all of those territories show tropical climate. So Miami specifically, Florida, most of it is considered to be having tropical climate. On the upper right corner, you see the climate zones, right? So we are in zone 1A, and then the rest of the Florida is 2A. What that means is that we have the same climate as Hawaii, Guam, Puerto Rico, and Virgin Islands. How can you choose the same system, which doesn't give you much of an advantage, that will be used in New York? You have to look at the situation that we are such a rare case in terms of the climate that we definitely have to account for taking the best advantage of this climate, and therefore create systems which do not put us into the question of constantly replanting. Of course, if you do live in wall in New York, you do expect the seasonality and changes. Here, we should not. And that's what reduces, of course, the maintenance if the system is right. So just another example, this is a casino, guitar, Hard Rock Casino that has been recently built. And this is an example of the living wall system that they have incorporated in the facility. It is just the cups with the plant, and from each cup there is like it's called wig. So a little bit of like a fabric line that sucks the water into the container. That's it. So this is example of living wall that will constantly require plant changes, and you already see it. I mean, I didn't make up these images. I took them as they are in life. So to us, anything container, planter base is like a vine rack. It's not really a living wall. So this is an example of hydroponics that we are offering. So one of the example is a panel-based system, which is each standard panel is 3 feet by 3 feet. And you can see they are stacked on each other. So they interlock with each other. And the way how it's done is that within the sealed shell, there are several layers of sponge. So imagine if the water gets into the sponge, will it just go down, or it has a trend to actually fill the sponge and saturate the sponge throughout the vertical surface? That's what makes a difference. The second system, it's a pocket-based system, but inside of the pocket, we also do not have soil. We literally take the plant out of the container, we wash it off, and we wrap the root with sphagnum moss. Sphagnum moss is the same moss that is used for orchids. So sphagnum moss becomes our growing medium inside of the pocket for the plant to root. Just to explain the process, the way how we do living walls, we pre-plant the living wall panels at our nursery. So we reduce the time on the job site and of course, this gives us a lot of flexibility to do the work at the nursery instead of having all the plants delivered to the site and all of the above. So we deliver pre-planted panels to the site. And this allows us the time issue, like we can start planting them early so that they can grow at the nursery, and then you get fully established product. This is example of doing the columns. Irrigation. There are 2 types of irrigation, and the good news that I would like to communicate to you is that the best part of the living wall architecture, let's say, that living wall can be integrated at any stage of the game, at the new construction, pre-construction, existing facility, because the only thing we need is 3 things. We need water source, which is 1/2 inch water line. We need figure out the drainage, which is typically 3/4 inch. And we need to figure out where we're gonna put irrigation equipment. So electric outlet, that's it. And if we don't have the water source and drain, we are able to integrate the living wall, what we call with closed loop application, as a display. So you can see on the left side, open loop application. So the wall is integrated. It's a terrace in one of the houses in Venetian Islands. So all the equipment can be stationed in some other room as long as we get the water. And closed application is where you have a container, as you can see at the bottom of the display, where all the equipment is hidden, and we just need to plug it in. Two different irrigation systems, drip versus sweat. So in our system, in the panels, which are filled with the sponge, we have a drip irrigation. So the water will go into the sponge and saturates the sponge. And in the panels, which are pocket-based, we use what is called sweat irrigation. So instead of just water dripping every 12 inch, the water is accumulated like in the fabric line, and by pressure, it soaks through the entire surface of the panel. The irrigation equipment is not massive. This is an example of how irrigation equipment plays 2 different alternative locations. We don't need the pump if we directly connect to the water. We only need timer. We have a special filter, and we have container for the nutrients. And again, when you get the presentation, you will see more details. I'm not gonna stop here. Lighting. Lighting is very critical for installation. So I'm looking at my time. All right, so another 5 to 7 minutes, and then I'll open up for the questions. Just for comparison, yes, there are special lighting that is required for interior installations to have successful living wall. You can certainly go and take a little risk by having low light plant selection. But if you do want to have variety, such as shown on the right, on the bigger picture, which is example of Coldwell Banker real estate office on Miami Beach. That wall is 6-year-old and it's constantly blooming, is because of the light. And just to compare how many candles are required for the interior lighting for the living wall, you can see the chart on the left. So the typical office has 30 foot candles, supermarket 50, basketball court 100, and the plants need 150. So the special lights are proposed for any interior job. And of course, I mean, on the left-hand side, again, you can see the same office that I just showed you. And it doesn't mean that the light has to be on consistently 24/7. No, the light, you need to have at least 8 hours of extra lighting. So typically, like this example, it's an office on the first floor of the building. So it serves them as decorative at night, as well as serves the purpose of growing the plants. So an example on a bigger picture just shows that a lot of times people, even though they don't need the light, like in this case, Pinecrest House, it does not need the light, but they wanted to have light to decorate the wall. So planting and design, very, very critical stage for people who would like to have successful living wall. Obviously, knowledge is the key. And I can just tell you briefly the main considerations for planting. So the living wall, we have a certain pattern in each type of application, how we plant things, but so far it's very, very flexible. So we don't have any challenges of literally designing whatever we want to design. The most important is plants. You cannot think that every single plant will work in the living wall, because for us, there are three, and I'm the one who's actually designing all our walls. So there are three main considerations that we take when we choose the plants, and we already experienced and tested at least 150 species. So we downsized the list to like 60 top players for living walls. And I have a separate list for interior versus exterior, south, north, west, and east plant considerations. So the main consideration for the plants is definitely the way how the plant is gonna grow with the time. We don't want to have any plants which develop a long stem, because we want to have plants which grow to the sides and have a full body and foliage from the root. So this is one example, like ferns, for example. The second consideration for the plants is definitely how much sun it can tolerate, whether it's full sun or shade or partial shade, etc. And this third consideration is the maintenance and performance over time, such as we want to have plants that even if young versus mature, they still look good. So this is our main criteria for plant choices. I want to show you example of, if you can look at the left, you can see how the wall looked in a small picture when it was installed, and how it looked at least, I would say, a year and a half after installation. So this is an example that a client simply wants a jungle. So no one in this case, he does not prefer a manicured look. So this is how the wall has developed over time. On the right hand side, that client is actually prefers more clean design, and therefore through the trimming, this is possible. All right, I'm showing how we pre-plant the panels at the nursery. This is how we pre-plant one system where we insert the plant into the hole, literally straight facing forward. And this is an example how the plants are being planted in the pockets. Maintenance. The biggest advantage that we are now able to offer and reduce all risks, literally, is the remote monitoring of all our walls. So what we do is we have a sensor that we install in each wall, and that sensor allows us to track three main criteria, as you can see on the screen. We track moisture, temperature, and light. If something like a thermostat, if one of those criteria drops or increases, we are alerted. So we calibrate the system to the point what is the ideal factor should be. And then if any change, we get alerted that something happened. So if we get immediate knowledge of the change in the system, we can certainly address it, react it, and see. So that's what makes a huge difference. So I'll go through. Okay, a lot of questions typically come like, what happens during the hurricane? And I can tell you nothing, okay? Nothing. So this is example post-hurricane, post-Irma. And because the living walls are literally flat, even though they do have extended foliage, it's not something that the wind really catches as a sail. And the big difference, yes, if the plant would be sitting in the plastic tray or container, it will easily get ripped out. But in the living wall, hydroponic living walls, the roots have integrated so much that when we even try to pull it, we can rip it. So it's very hard to pull the tropical plant root out of the established living wall. So that's what makes a difference. Marilyn, time? Good.
No, I was going to say, you have a question by Carlos Gonzalez. I don't know if you answered that one.
No, I didn't look at the chat.
If you don't mind.
Yes, of course. I'll take a look. Carlos Gonzalez.
Carlos Gonzalez. How about sun?
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you see the question, so what is the question? How about sun? Okay, I see.
It deals with lighting, and usually you need the sun for the vegetation to grow.
Sure. Yes. Carlos, thank you so much for your question. To be honest, are you talking about, if we're talking about interior installations, I explained we do need additional lighting. If we're talking about exterior installations, we actually typically get more than enough sun. For us, sun is a challenge. We do prefer more shade for the living wall. So south and west exposed living walls are the challenging walls. So they have limited plant selection, and we do have to be careful that we don't want to plant something that we know is not gonna last. Did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so I want to show you some of the examples of the best practices, some of our work, and then you will see it when we mail the presentation as well, and we can wrap up with more questions. 1 second. So I can tell you that we have zero failure. This is one of the jobs that we have been recently contracted, and this is going to be our largest installation, 2000 Ocean Hollandale condo building. So this is a conceptual way where it's all going with that. So it's a whole facade of the front. So this project is due May 2021. So I cannot wait to share it with you. Most of our jobs, however, have been very high-end luxury installations, and you can see the difference, the courtyard, right? You can see the picture, sorry, without any living walls, and now this is how it looks. Again, without before and after, right? So this is a courtyard, Coral Gables. This is a wall, which is our last installation in Fort Lauderdale. It has one residence, has 4 living walls, 1 interior and 4 exterior. Just giving you some examples. This is an example when a client just wanted to camouflage the window. So that's the way how it was camouflaged. Didn't like the ugly asymmetrical window. This is something that you can touch and feel because this is a private access living wall. It is located at Wynwood. The restaurant is called Kyu, K-Y-U, and they have really good fusion cuisine, by the way. We go large and small. This is example of the small application. So anything that works to create additional ambience for this patio. This is an example of three panel job. Columns. Fisher Island. On Fisher Island, the person didn't want to look at ugly, like I'm just quoting, ugly terrace. So we literally wrap around the terrace. This is a beautiful trick that I would like to share with you when you have a living wall, but look what magic it is done to it when you add a mirror, a perpendicular mirror. You literally double in the size. As I was sharing with you different displays. So this is example of Apogee building. It has 2 balconies. It has Apogee two displays. So you can see at the base, it's a freestanding, the water is inside of the container and equipment is inside of the container. Another beautiful work, the office, penthouse, entrances to the buildings. This is Jungle Island, public space. And literally last picture, the water features can be incorporated in the living wall and the showers. We've done huge installations for events. This was Super Bowl last year. And finally, our work is proved as part of the exterior green living wall design, as the book specializes in actually featuring one of the best living walls. So I'm open to the questions. I know I am right on time and I will answer any questions now, or if you guys want, please send me an email. This is my contact information. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, and I'll be more than happy to share this presentation. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I wish you good luck in all your green journeys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Irina. Thank you, everybody. Okay.
Thanks, Irina.
Colin, thank you so much. I'm looking at, yeah, people said thank you. Thank you very much. All right, guys, have a great week, the rest of the week.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.